Hello, this is Howie Ferguson with Ferguson Home Services in Gore, Oklahoma. And I'm often asked this time of the year, the weather is starting to get warm, and folks want to know what is something that you can do for your heating and air conditioning system that doesn't require a lot of skills, and what is the most important thing. And the most important thing, and requires the least amount of skill, is to change your air conditioning filter. And every month, 12 months out of the year, you should change your air conditioning filter. At least check it. Sometimes I realize that during the winter, maybe the filter doesn't get as dirty, but at least check it once a month. If you have a smartphone, you can schedule on your smartphone to remind you to check your heating air conditioning filter. Or you can write it on your calendar around the first of the month. I have several things around the first of the month that I write on my calendar, and I do them every month because I have a reminder to let me know. That sounds very simple. I've done this work for over 30 years now, and the number one problem that I have found over the years is people do not change their filter. They don't even check their filter. I have put new air conditioning systems in for folks and get a call a year or two later to come by and service the air conditioner, and the filter has never been changed, cleaned, anything over that amount of time. And it's when we put in a new one, we show the customer how to do it. We try to make it easy, but people will just forget. So this is a reminder to change your air conditioner filter. At least check it every month, 12 months out of the year, at least once a month, to check your air conditioning filter. Now, while that sounds simple, it's often very much overlooked. I have something I want to show you about your filters that some have not realized. When you go down to the store, your favorite hardware store, wherever you like to shop, around here we have a True Value store at Gore. We have a Sheffield and Ross or SRS hardware store over at Weber Falls. And at Vian you have the Ace Hardware down there. But there's places around that you can pick up your filters really easy. What I would recommend is get a dozen at a time. And you might ask the people that you buy your filter from, you may say, if I bought a dozen, could I get a discount? But irregardless, if yours is the type that you throw away, and not a washable type, get you a dozen of these at a time and put them somewhere where they're readily available when you get ready to change your filter. One thing I recommend is getting the cheap disposable type filters, like this type right here. They sell at the hardware stores this type of filter that has a real thick medium. I don't know if you can tell or not. It's hard to work here with both hands and show you on film, but this is really deeply woven down inside, and this type is not. This type costs you more money. This type is cheap. Use the cheap filter. Now I'll tell you why to use the cheap filter. The thick filter, better filter, yes, this type here is really a better filter. It catches more pollen, more dust, and items like that. Most systems that are put in, anywhere that I've ever worked or seen, the system does not have enough return air space. So if you can get a professional heating and air person, such as myself, to look at yours, I could give you advice whether your return air grill, that's where your filter goes at, if that's big enough to handle a thicker medium. What happens on these nicer filters is they get clogged very easily because they're thicker. This one, smaller particles that really don't matter can slide on through here. Now it does matter to your breathing and allergies and things like that. If a system is put in properly, you can go with a thick filter, no problem. The problem that I see around most homes that I have been in, their return air grill is not large enough. They may need 2 or 3 this size instead of 1 this size return air grills, and then they might get by with the thicker filter. What happens when you put the thicker filter in? Well, first off, it blocks the airflow. And when you block your airflow, it puts more of a strain on the blower motor that is inside your inside unit, your furnace blower motor inside. It puts more of a strain on it. The nice, better filters will also clog up quicker. So before you know it, it's already slowed down the airflow and put more of a load on your blower, but it begins to get clogged and it causes a slower air movement, and that will cause your blower motor to pull more electricity, more amperage, and burn it up. Oftentimes I will go out in the summertime and the blower motor will be burned up, usually on the hottest day of the summer. And I'll see this better type filter put in the system, and usually it has not been changed all summer, and or maybe in a year or more, but the blower motor will be out. And I will ask them about the filter, and they're like, yeah, the last time I went, I seen that. It said it would caught more pollen and stuff, so I put that type of filter in my air conditioner. Well, now it has burned up. So if you are going to use that type, make sure you change your filter every month. But preferably, you should get with somebody, a professional that can do the measurements and tell you. I can tell you just by looking, usually pretty quick like, if you have a system that will handle a better filter. But the cheaper type is better for your system. I want to explain something about air conditioning. Air conditioning is just what it says. Most think that means to get cold, or some may think it's to get hot. But the term air conditioning means to condition the air in your home. It's working to condition it, whether you want the air heated up or whether you want it cooled down. It's air conditioning. In the summer, the air gets cold. The coil on your air conditioning system, which is right here, I've got one in this picture right here. This particular coil, one is generally called an A coil. And this deal here, also properly called an evaporator coil, sets on top of your air conditioner, or on the bottom of it, and the air goes through it. It gets cold in the summertime, and as it gets cold, it absorbs the heat that's in the air of your home. And then it goes outside. You have an outside unit with a fan that's blowing, and it's blowing that hot air that was in your home and blowing it outside. Also, something your air conditioning does in the summer months when you want the house cooler is it lowers the humidity. And when the humidity is lower, you feel better. When the humidity's hot, if you live around here, you know what I mean. In the summertime, well, we sure have some hot and humid days. So when the humidity gets lower, even just a little bit, it makes you feel much cooler. So the air conditioning coil, it gets cold and it begins to sweat. And what it's doing is pulling the moisture out of the air of your home. Just like when you take a good old glass of ice water and set it on beside you in the summertime, that outside of that glass begins to sweat. Well, that's what your air conditioner does. You have a drain that's hooked on it, and it brings the moisture to the outside of your home or into your sewer system. So all the while you're conditioning the air. That's what air conditioning means. In the wintertime, you're heating the air to get your house warmer, and so at the same time you are conditioning the air. Air conditioning just means to condition the air of your home. Also, you're pulling out particles of dust and things out of your home. But the main reason you have a filter in your air conditioning system, but you know, breathing and helping get rid of allergies and stuff is great. But you don't want your air conditioning system to clog up. And what will happen on this particular coil that I have right here, we just recently changed out of a unit, and it's probably hard for you to see with the camera like it is, but up inside here is a bunch of dirt up inside that coil. The air conditioning filter probably was not changed properly, or was not, the return system wasn't properly, and as the air flowed into this coil, then up through the ductwork of the home, it wasn't properly filtered. This coil in the summertime gets wet. just like I told you earlier, and it's drawing moisture out of your home, and it runs out through the drain line. When that's wet and dust and stuff gets on it, it sticks, and it gets all of this old nasty gunk built up on this coil. So now the air in your home, it's putting more of a load also on your air conditioning system. Also, because as the air changes, the more it changes. In the summertime, the blower motor on your system will run on high speed. So you're changing the air more and more and more. And the more you change the air in your home, the more comfortable you're going to be. Oftentimes people tell me they want to go up larger when they replace their air conditioning system. And they say we need to go a half ton or a ton larger because this one just doesn't quite do it. But they'll say, now years ago it did fine, but now it don't. It's because everything's getting clogged up and the air can't flow. So your air conditioner going from what you may have a 3-ton system, for example, but now because it's so blocked up on the inside unit, the outside air conditioning part is another subject we'll talk about on another video, but they get so clogged up that you've gone from a 3-ton maybe down to a 1.5 tons. And so of course now the air isn't conditioned in your home and you start to have problems. So as you can see, this coil here is badly clogged. This home, probably when it was installed, it was perfect. Everything was great. And then as time went on and it got clogged, the less the air was conditioned, the slower the process was. It went from really conditioning the air down to a real slow process and took longer. And in the summertime, when we hit the very hot temperatures and we really needed to cool our homes, the process was slowed down. Usually people notice this type of problem more on air conditioning because in the summer the airflow is so much more important when you're trying to cool your home rather than when you're trying to heat. But in the wintertime, this coil's dry, so it's not as critical. Usually in the winter also we have less dust because it's normally, this winter was very dry, but usually we don't have as dry of winters, so the dust and stuff isn't getting stirred, but you still ought to check your filter every month. Anyway, I hope somehow this video would help you. If you have questions or comments, if you're a Facebook friend of ours and would like to private message me, or if you have a comment to add below, go right ahead. But I hope somehow this has helped you, and thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless you.